Hello, and thank you guys for having me. I'm really happy to be up here and share with you about the interface moment to the blockchain, BlockV. So there's been a lot of talk about and a lot of emotion about blockchain technology and what it means for the world. However, we haven't really felt it. We haven't really experienced it. We don't really know how it's going to impact the whole world. So what I like to say is, how do we get it from the millions to the billions? Because today, there are about 1 million or so people actively trading cryptocurrencies. It's very difficult to estimate, but let's say there's 1 million active wallets out there, even though there's probably 20 million in existence. And they're trading about $150 billion. But how do we actually unleash the power of the blockchain for the whole world? And so today there's been this bottleneck, and until an interface comes along, you can't really unleash the power of a new technology to the world. And so this is the adoption S-curve. And you'll see in 1993, that's finally when the interface moment came for the blockchain. So this is the browser, I'm sorry, for the internet. This is the browser to the internet. So the internet was around in a niche community of scientists and government people. And then the browser came along and enabled developers to essentially build and monetize apps and businesses on top of this new technology. And when that happened, it had an effect on the whole world, and it transferred the way the world did business and enabled us to rapidly exchange information. The App Store to mobile. So then in 2008, Apple came along and created the App Store. And what the App Store ultimately allowed us to do was create businesses on top of this new platform, mobile. So now developers could easily build and monetize and tap into this technology that had been around, but hadn't really reached the masses. And so this type of interface enabled it to get to the whole world. And so that really brings us to BlockV. BlockV is the interface for the blockchain. And what does that really mean? It means that we're providing the world an asset class that will enable these blockchain-based objects to meaningfully interact with the end user. Because today, the majority of the use cases that we see for blockchain is really around the financial institutions, trading currencies, and moving money. And this is an extraordinary use case for blockchain because it's really programmable scarcity. And so step one is money. But how do we expand that upon those use cases and really deliver something special to the whole world? And so that's why I'd like to introduce BlockV, and what we like to call is tokenization as a service. And so we have a very, very experienced team. The people involved have been responsible for over 5 exits of over $100 million in platform as a service, tokenization as a service, infrastructure as a service, cloud-based computing, digital media. So a lot of extraordinary brain power has gone into being able to create a globally scalable business and bring something that will change the way the world interacts. And so we've come up with tokenization as a service. And it's not just what we all know and feel about tokens, which is basically this flat experience, but this new digital representation of value. But we like to call it a super token. And we've coined the term called VATM, which is a unique digital object that meaningfully interacts with the end user. Craig got up here a little bit earlier and did a deep dive into what a VATM is and what digital objects are and why the use cases of blockchains are evolving. And so I'll just do a little bit more information on explaining to you what a VATM is and introducing it. So a VATM is basically a cryptocurrency with app-like qualities. So from the right-hand side here, these are the characteristics of cryptocurrencies that we all know and love. This is why we're all here, programmable scarcity. They're finite, they're authentic, they're transferable, they're possessible, they're traceable. These characteristics enable us to move around value without third parties. This is what we're all here for. This is what we got excited about. But how do we take it to the next level? How do we get them to meaningfully interact with the whole world? Well, this is what BlockV does. This is why we call it tokenization as a service, because it's not just the straightforward, simple token that everyone today utilizes, but now you can add programmability, combinability, redeemability, network aware, artificial intelligence. Our platform enables developers around the world, provides them the tools, gives them the ability to monetize and distribute this new asset class called a VATM. Once you have the ability to program these tokens where they come alive, where there's 3D, sound, music, video, and they have policy, once that happens, the use case of cryptocurrencies far exceed just a typical currency, and they dive into the world of brand loyalty, brand advertising, Imagine a prescription bottle that comes alive and enables you to realize that, oh, here's all the information around this medicine. This is when it's going to be needed to be refilled because it's tied to your identity. It's this digital object with your identity. So now you have a platform that has all of these different digital objects. Right here, you'll see a Bitcoin wallet. That's not a Bitcoin wallet you've ever seen before. We've added the experiential layer. We're providing the developers around the world the tools to use their creativity to come up with something extraordinary and make it much more experience enriched. Imagine you want to do a movie marketing, so there's a collectible Batman that plays a trailer, you share it with friends, you win a ticket, tickets to Taylor Swift. And this object in the middle, this is simply a shareable gift card. So one, it represents our technology in action. So today, all of this stuff works, and this example in the middle simply says, if I give you this VATM that says earn 3000 V, which is our network token that I'll speak on in a minute, and you share it with 4 friends, and they share it with 4 friends, it showcases the power of our technology to be able to reward people in your downline for different actions. The other real premise of what we're doing is to be able to take digital goods and make them equivalent to real-world objects. So not only are they redeemable, but they actually take the qualities of physical goods, such as if you had a good, you could drop it on the map. You could pick it up on a map so people can seed the world with these different objects, and it can be done in AR and VR. So think about the proliferation of augmented reality. So AR toolkit shipping, the new Apple phone's out, and augmented reality is a really big push. So there'll be developers around the world utilizing this new tool set to create amazing digital objects. I don't know if you've seen the Apple commercial yet, but there's this T-Rex running through. So imagine if now they could create these digital objects that were scarce and collectible, and that we provided these developers the ability to have the notion of inventory, meaning you as a user could click on that T-Rex, put it into your digital wallet, put it on an exchange, buy, sell, and trade it, drop it on a map, gamify it, right? Because there's only 10 of them. They become these unique, rare, valuable digital objects. So we've spent, and I want to share with you a little bit about where we're at today, because we've spent the last 2 years, a couple $1 million, really doing a deep dive in this technology and building it out. Because it's actually extraordinarily complex to be able to take tokens, which can be written to any blockchain, and create a platform where you can add code to them where they do extraordinary things and give you the tools to program them to do anything. So sometimes people ask, well, what is a VATM and what can it do? Think about an app. If someone were to ask you today, what does an app do? Well, it does anything you program it to do. So it's the same with a VATM. So we've spent the last 2 years building this out. Some of our development partners have apps in the App Store today, wallets where you can view and interact with these digital goods. Most importantly, though, our network token will be available to use in the platform the day it's generated. So after our token generation event, you can actually use the network token within our ecosystem. And so our TGE, our token generation event, all of the proceeds from that are actually going to go to build world-class developer tools, because we've already built the platform that scales to billions of objects cost-effectively, and that was no small feat. In addition to utilizing it to build these, to put this final polish on, it's really to showcase to the world the power of the VATM and convince developers around the world to start building on this platform, because this new virtual object, this new asset class, the VATM, is really going to change the way the world communicates. Because if you think about it, now they can communicate through objects of value, whereas before it was simply messages. Think about brand advertising. Digital marketing. There's about $100 billion a year spent in online media. Most of that money gets sucked out of the ecosystem. It goes into the technology, the planning and the buying, and then the rest of it goes to the publishers. Google, Facebook, all of the different places that display these ads. Guess who gets zero? All of the consumers, right? What you really get is an experience that most likely annoys you because it's interrupted you in whatever you were doing. That's digital advertising today. Digital advertising tomorrow, with VATMs, brands will now be able to much more meaningfully engage with the end user, because instead of that money being sucked out into the process, the money goes directly to the end user. They provide them objects of value. This object, this VATM, this experience is valuable to them. They can redeem it. They can play a game with it. They can share it. And it's all brought to them by brands that they know and love, because they self-select on the brands that they want to participate with. So a little bit about the stack and how we've been built. We have the ability to make these tokens to be written to any blockchain. So on the bottom, you've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, EOS, and all the other blockchains to come. We're very bullish on EOS as well. When they fulfill our promise of instant and free transactions, it makes writing to blockchains much more sensible, because today, it takes a little bit of time, costs a little bit of money. So our technology is an abstraction layer over those blockchains, easily allowing the developer to choose which type of token they'd like to build. And then we have the nucleus, the real brain of this virtual good. The registry, it's like a GoDaddy, allows you to register all of the different templates, SDKs, APIs, exchanges. So we're building the full stack so the whole world can meaningfully interact with this new type of digital object. And so, why is that important? So today, we view this as the trillion object opportunity. And what does that really mean? Well, most companies come up and say, my marketplace, the market I'm playing in is 10 billion or 100 billion, and it's this huge opportunity. Well, these tokenized business models aren't about the dollar amount of the marketplace they're playing in. It's about the demand for their product. And so the market that we're in is the largest market in the world, the trillion object opportunity. There are millions of apps. There's over 1 billion websites. That's 1 trillion digital objects. And when you think about it, what's the pointer of an app or a website? It's really to create the walled garden to provide the digital rights management to the object inside. We believe the value is shifting from the walled garden to the object itself. It's moving away from the app, away from the application, and into the object. Because think about an app like a Starbucks app or any type of loyalty app. You don't care about the app. You care about the coffee. So if you could actually just get that digital object inside, and if that digital object was interoperable with all other objects out there, in-game goods, other brands' goods, any type of good you could imagine, because you can put it on a marketplace, buy, sell, and trade it, then that is the trillion object opportunity, because all of these developers that build these objects will have the ability to interact and be part of utilize our technology to give them that sense of that sense of interoperability and scarcity and ownership of their objects without the walled garden. So it's freeing the object. And this slide is what I feel is the most important slide, especially for people who are interested in participating in BlockV and why it's meaningful. There's a lot of discussions around ICOs and these different companies, and they talk about the structure of their sale. But do they really talk about the longevity and the value that their token provides the ecosystem? So our token, the V, is our network ecosystem token. It is an ERC20 token. But most importantly, the reason it's going to have value is because throughout the ecosystem, it's utilized. So developers, in order to access the system, to build a VATM, to publish the VATM, to distribute the VATM, and to pay for the long-running processes, you're going to have V. Users will be incentivized with V for various actions. Because now you can state, look, I would like you to share this with 5 friends, earn V. I'd like you to redeem these 5 things at these stores. I'd like you to collect all this, combine them, do these things, and it provides an incentive mechanism. And then lastly, our version of miners is what we call cyclers. And this is a distributed compute notion. And this enables us to have our network token, the V, work from start to finish. So cyclers actually confirm all of the VATM transactions. So they are a group of essentially miners out there that are paid to confirm the various transactions required to move, transfer, and pay for the long-running processes of VATMs. And one other important aspect of the network token, the reason why it's so important, is because we're creating this world, which is the trillion object opportunity, and you can imagine there can be lots of spam in that network. And so the other use of the V is if the publishers don't want to pay for the long-running process, if they're not going to pay that 1 or 2 cents a year for this object to work, and the user isn't going to pay for it either, then it will become inert and it will be eliminated from the system until someone pays for it, which is very important to eliminate all the spam on the network. And then when you wrap all that up, and while I firmly believe that the business model of the future is these utility tokens, it's because it enables all of the participants in this network, all of the people that have put in work, such as the developers, the users, the cyclers, all of the people that are interacting, they are collecting V, they are earning V, they own V. And for their work, that increases the demand of the network, and the value of that V goes up. So in the future, when our children look at us and realize how much time we've spent in social media, on Facebook and Instagram, and spending all of our time for very little value, they won't have that paradigm. They will think we are crazy because when they spend their value, they know that they're earning something for it. They're earning these new types of tokens, this new type of currency, and they're getting paid to do what they love. Lastly, I have an extraordinary team. I know my time's up, but I do want to highlight a few of the major accomplishments of the team and the advisors and BlockV TGE on October 12th. The pre-sale just started. Please find out more information at blockv.io. Thank you guys very much.